I've got a rhythmic preset called up here, and I want to record a part, and I want to record some key switches so that we can switch phrases during the performance. Now I'm going to do a simple part, and I've got my DAW set to quantize to eighth notes, and I've got this in beat sync, so everything I'm going to be triggering is on the beat. Let's explore using the key switches. I've got a little drum groove just so we can keep track of the time and the beats and where we're at in the bar. All right, so let's listen back and look at what's happening. Now, if you were listening closely, you would have noticed that when I switched chords and key switch notes at the same time with these C and D notes, sometimes the first low note was truncated and we didn't hear it fully. And we're in beat sync mode and they were triggered at the same time or as close as I could. But let's listen back, and I haven't edited anything here, but if we see these are the key switch notes down here and these are the notes that are held, let's listen. So there we heard the full downbeat properly. Here I'm switching again. There we hear it fully now. So still the same key switch note. Here we're going to switch again. So we're not missing any of those downbeats. Everything's quantized and right on the beat. Now, if we were in note mode, what you may want to do at some point, if you're working with the delays in your DAW, is you might want to advance some of these key switch notes a bit earlier so that they happen just a little bit before where the actual trigger note that you're triggering happens. So you may or may not need to do that, but I just wanted to point out that you might want to think about that. And the other thing is, if your DAW has a chase option, depending how long you're holding down these key switch notes, you want to make sure that your chase is enabled so that if you start playback, for example, here, it's playing this key switch note on E. Whereas if I start playback from here in the middle of the bar, I want it to play the rhythm associated with this style phrase note. But it's not doing that, and that's because these key switch notes need to be sustained or held longer until the next key switch note happens. In this case, this one, but I can also, since those are just the accent or add notes, I can keep it all the way until the next style phrase key switch comes. And here I triggered the same one, but I'll extend it that way anyway, that much anyway, rather. And let's try the same experiment. All right, so it's playing that rhythm associated with this E trigger note. I can extend that one as well. In this case, until here, where I'm going back down to this one. And now if I start playback in the middle here, it should chase this and play the rhythm based on this C note. And that's working. So two things are important in your DAW. Make sure in your chase settings that you're chasing sustained notes. This is particular to this DAW, but all DAWs have this type of function. And then make sure that your notes are actually sustained as long as you need or want them to, so that you can start playback anywhere you want and it'll chase the intended style phrase. So those are a couple of tips and ideas to keep in mind when you're working with key switch notes and triggering them in real time or programming or editing them after the fact. We'll continue with more in the next video.